Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back to another Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid miniature slash card game unboxing. Today we have the Rangers Ally Pack number 2. So what the Ally Packs are, they let basically they're letting them release the 6th Rangers, or like the extended ones past the normal team. Or just in general allies that aren't necessarily quote-unquote Rangers, although all of these ones are, but I'm thinking like when they do like Ninja or Magna Defender, who aren't technically Rangers. Yes, this one has a bunch of new ones. Kind of interesting because it adds 2 Green Rangers, and then we got 2 Silver Rangers, which we haven't had silver colors yet, and then we have 1 purple, which we haven't had purple yet either. Well, shouldn't say it. We have purple with the, if you got the new Rangers United Silver, or Rangers United box, you would have had Solar Ranger. But this otherwise would have been the other first one. They came out at the same time, so we're gonna go through the teams we've already went through. Just a quick, brief thing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. There is a new dice pack, which has stuff for the silver characters, purple characters, and orange. Which makes me remember, we did have a purple ranger already. Yeah, I'll go over those a little bit more in a different video. Let's just say that there is a dice pack available for all the different colored rangers. Alright, so our Ranger Ally Pack, new heroes join the Power Rangers, fight against evil, introduce your burst cast, so you can play as them as a team of 5. That's what's neat about these boxes. You can buy this, you can play a team of 5 Rangers, which are not going to be like super cohesive together, or you can add them to the team. But it also starts off a couple of new teams, which we haven't seen before. Couple of different things they've added in here are attaching cards, which you've seen before with the Shattered Grid set. But just as a reminder, when you attach a combat card to an enemy, slide the attached card partway under the card, making sure its effect remains invisible. There's no limit to the number of cards that can be attached. At the end of battle, all combat cards that are attached to the enemy go in their discard pile. So they attach, they sit on that card until that card goes away, and then it goes back to the discard pile. We're also adding in an effect called Previous Card. It includes cards that check the previous card to see if certain effects were triggered. The previous card is always the combat card that was most recently played in the curl battle, no matter who played it. For example, this one, Attack, triggers even if the previous card was a reaction. If it was played, then RJ can either gain 1 energy or add 1 die. Reaction cards can be played in response to these attacks as normal. However, even if they're resolved before the attack is performed, they're still played afterwards. So, like, you can't play a card that says, oh, if your first turn you play a card that says the previous card, there have been no previous cards. Even if you play a reaction that does something beforehand, it still won't count because the card was technically played afterwards. Alright, so let's jump into our Rangers. Our first one we're going to look at is the Green Ranger. Joe Shi. This is the HyperForce Green Ranger, who was added like later after the series, which is part of the reason why he wasn't in the box with the Shattered Grid stuff. He does have the Shattered Grid team logo. They kept that rather than giving them the HyperForce logo. And I think that was just because synergy-wise. All the rest of the Shattered Grid characters have it. Let's just keep him with the same symbol so that players know that's what team he belongs to. So he's HyperForce Green, Enduring Strength. Once per battle, you may spend 1 energy to choose 1 card from any Ranger's discard pile and place it back on the bottom of their deck. Yeah, that's definitely powerful. Getting put a card back on the deck for 1. Here's his character model. He's got whip swords. So they have an actual name, which I can't remember. I know they're like the ones Ivy uses in Soul Calibur, which are always really cool. So here he's like chained out, and then there you can see these little segments on there. He's got kind of the vest, very similar to like the original Green Ranger from Mighty Morphin. They're kind of trying to theme it off of there. Alright, let's look at his cards. 2 copies of Venom Charge. 2 cost maneuver. Attach this card to an enemy card. Apologize for the coughing. Attach this card to an enemy card. At the end of each enemy turn in battle, deal 1 damage to that enemy card. Any other ranger may immediately play 1 card. So basically, you can put it on a guy that's going to keep constantly dealing damage, and then someone else can play a card. So it's a good free card, essentially. Alright. He's got 2 copies of the Hydra Shield. Because he has the Hydra Zord. 0 cost reaction. Play this card after any ranger performs a maneuver. Gain 1 energy and place this card on the top of your deck instead of discarding it. So it has to be after a maneuver, which kind of limits it, but you gain a free energy, and it goes back on top of your deck. So either you're going to get it, draw it again at some point, you're going to keep using it that way, or you at least get 2 defense, if nothing else. 2 copies of Hydra Coil, 0 cost attack, which just straight up does 2 damage. After you resolve this attack, attach this card to the target, deal 1 damage to the attacked enemy after it resolves. So at least get 3 damage out of it, but it's kind of nice because you can do 2. And if you know you're not going to be able to defeat it, then at least you can maybe have that 1 extra damage prep to take it out later. I mean, it's okay. 2 straight damage for free is really good. 1 after the card resolves is okay, I guess, if you're going to have to let it resolve anyhow. Like maybe like a first turn attack or a second turn attack, and you know you're not going to be able to defeat something, then at least it has an extra damage point on it. 2 copies of Enduring Strike. 1 cost attack for 2 dice. After resolve this attack, choose 1 card from your discard pile and place it on the bottom of your deck. So this guy's all about reusing attacks. Which kind of makes sense because he's the Hydra. Hydra have many heads that as they die, they keep coming back. That's what they're called. They're called Rhea Swords. 3 costs, attack for 1 die, which is really low. After you resolve this attack, you may perform a second attack with 2 dice, and then you may perform a third attack with 3 dice, and that's why it's so low. So you get 3 attacks out of it. You can target different people for each attack, which is really neat. It's a total of 5 dice, which is really powerful, actually. You just gotta kind of bounce it around a bit. And then finally, he gets his team ability, which is the Blade Blaster, which is the same for the other HyperForce members, as well as the Mighty Morphin Rangers, which just costs X. Deals damage equal to the number of energy you spent. You may divide this among any number of targets, which is really nice. Alright, then let's look at his Zord quick. So he's going to have the Hydra Hyper Zord. Exhaust this card when any ranger discards a card for defense. Place that card on the bottom of their deck. Deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. So basically someone has to discard for energy, like if they really need it, whether it's a 1 or a 3, if they really needed that attack or they're waiting for it, you can put it back on their deck, which is nice. Then you can deal 1 damage to an enemy of your choice. So it's kind of good. Have to again compare, pull these ally cards out and compare them to the original HyperForce members to see how well he stacks up with them or how well he combats with them. So that might be another video I do. Alright, our next character is going to be from another established team, is Zane, the Silver Space Ranger. who I know this is supposed to be like a triangle on like a square belt, but to me it just looks like they have an envelope for some reason. So here has Silver Charm. Once per battle, when you gain any amount of energy, increase that amount by 1. Alright, so that could be helpful. Sucks that some of them abilities are only 1 per battle, but, you know, what do you do? Alright, so he's got 2 copies of Total Confidence, which is a maneuver. Another ranger may immediately play 1 attack card. If that attack defeats the target, gain 2 energy. So it looks like he's all about gaining some energy. So play this, but you only play this if you know they're going to defeat the target, because that way you can gain that 2 energy. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste of time. He's got 2 copies of Telekinesis. Play this card at the start of battle. Any ranger may take the top card of their discard pile and add it to their hand. Oh, that's definitely powerful. Just getting a free card back. Yeah, it costs you 1 turn. But it's also played at the start of a battle, so it's immediately starting the battle. So you're gonna take whatever the first card is, but you can plan for that at least. He's got 2 copies of Silver Strike. 0 cost attack for 2 dice. If there's at least 3 energy in the shared energy pool, return this card to your hand instead of discarding it. She would work really well with the like Solar Ranger. She has stuff that lets her put stuff back in, but he also gains a lot of energy as well. His next double cards are Argent Charge. 1 cost attack for 2 dice, gain 2 energy. You may reroll any number of dice during this attack. Yeah, he's all about keeping that energy up. And why does he need to keep that energy up? Because he has 2 special cards. So he has the Silverizer Blast, which is cost X, and it's a reaction. Play this card after any ranger gains energy. Deal an amount of damage to an enemy of your choice equal to the amount of energy spent to play this card. So the timing of it kind of sucks. Just because you have to wait for someone to gain energy. But again, with his abilities and stuff like that. But then you just pump a bunch in there and basically take out whatever you need. And you're already gaining energy. So if they gain 1 or 3 or whatever. I mean, there's lots of cards that gain energy. So it's not like this is really that hard to use. And then its other one is a Silverizer Slash, which costs X. It's an attack with 2 dice. Instead of choosing a target, this attack deals its full attack or damage amount to a number of enemy cards equal to the amount of energy spent to play this card. Max of 4. So this is kind of neat, because you're spending X, but basically you're spending X up to 4 to do full damage to 4 different targets. And with 2 dice. Now you combine this with like lots of the Red Ranger cards, or some of them guys that add extra dice. And you could take a bunch of cards with this for 3-4 damage. So that's actually really cool. Let's see if I can get his miniature out here. So there's his miniature. He's got his blade. It's kind of neat. Has like an arm gauntlet to it. I'm not sure what the point of that is. But yeah, this Silver Ranger. Alright, and then let's look at his Zord. His Zord is the Mega Winger, which says, exhaust this card at the end of a battle. Move any amount of energy from the shared pool to this card, maximum of 4. At the start of the battle, you may move all energy from this card to the shared energy pool. So that's kind of neat. End of the battle, you'd be like, we have all this extra energy. Throw it on him. Now the next match starts. You can be like, boom, here, have up to 4 extra energy sitting around. So it's kind of neat. You can basically save it for the next match. That's really cool. And then you can use it every battle, like end of every single battle in a round. So if, like, you have, or you have to exhaust this card at the end of a battle, I guess. I'm sorry. But still, that's pretty powerful to have potentially up to 4 extra energy sitting around, because you couldn't spend, maybe you had a bad round and you just couldn't spend it. So you can use it, or you had cards that gave you, like, the Silver Ranger here, who gave you a bunch of energy, and you couldn't spend it. Like, you just didn't have enough energy to spend all of it. Alright. Now we have a new team. We have Robert R.J. James from Jungly Fury, the Jungly Fury Wolf Ranger. The Jungly Fury were definitely an interesting series, because they use lots of martial arts. And there's another one of them teams where there's only, show up a card here quick, there's only 3 other Rangers, so he became the 4th one. So he's not like the 6th Ranger, he's actually the 4th Ranger. Their big thing was they had a lot of stuff where, if I'm remembering correct, it's been a while since I watched this one, it was a good series though. Yeah, where they had a bunch of different, they eventually learned different animal spirits they could use. So each one basically became like extent of having 2 different ranger powers. But he was like their mentor, and then he eventually became a ranger. Says, Unorthodox Master. Once per battle, after any ranger performs a maneuver or reaction, gain 1 energy. So we're going to at least get some glimpse of what Jungly Fury will do, but the alt rangers, the 6th ranger or whatever you want to consider them, don't always play the same way as the other rangers do. But being a smaller team, we'll see, and since he directly trained them, we'll see if this matches or not when they eventually release some of these. But yeah, so after any ranger performs a maneuver or reaction, gain 1 energy. This will work well if you're playing with that Silver Ranger that we just saw. It says FANG Strike. He's got 2 of them, and there's one of the foot soldier guys whose names I can't remember. So 0 cost attack with 2 dice. If the previous combat card played this battle was a reaction, gain 1 energy, or add 1 dice to this attack. So that's kind of nice, depending on what you need to be doing. You got 2 copies of Wolf Buster. 1 cost attack for 3 dice. If the previous play combat card was a maneuver, you may divide the attack from this attack amongst any number of targets. So it's kind of neat because he really involves planning ahead of time. Like, you can't just jump in and do whatever you want, or his attacks aren't going to be as powerful. So 1 revives on a maneuver, 1 relies on a reaction. So here's our reactions. We got 2 copies of Go with the Flow. Play this card after another ranger performs a reaction. If this card gains the effects of that reaction. So it's actually really neat, because then you play 1 reaction, you can play this one for free, and then you can boost up his other attack if you need to. His maneuver, 2 copies of Swoop Technique. And just for context, Swoop is one of the ancient spirits. He's the bat spirit, so it's kind of a reference in that why he's doing like a blind no-look punch, because bats are blind. Reel the top card of your deck. There's an attack, you may immediately play it. Add 1 die to that attack. Otherwise, perform an attack with 2 dice. So that's kind of cool. Either you can play a stronger attack, or at least it's a 2 damage attack. His last 2, and we looked at this one a little bit, is the Pai Zua Strike. So this might be their team attack. So when the Jungly Fury Rangers do come out, they might have this exact same card, being that there's all 4 of them on there. But again, it might not. Sometimes these alt rangers have 2 different, they don't have a special attack that matches the rest of their team. Such as the Silver Space Ranger. He had 2 separate specials. So 0 attack 2 dice. After resolve this attack, any ranger may choose a maneuver or reaction from their discard pile and add it to their hand. And then his final one is his special, which is the Spirit of the Wolf. 3 cost attack for 4 dice. If the previous combat card played in this battle is a maneuver or reaction, add 2 damage to this attack. Otherwise, reduce the energy cost of this card by 1. So, ooh, that's even actually kind of nice. Either one. Again, though, it revolves planning, because if you specifically, oh, I need to use this, and I need to do that 2 damage, you want to make sure no one plays a maneuver reaction right before this, because if they do, or you want to make sure they do, but if you don't, you want this to be cheaper, because you're like, okay, 4 dice is enough, if I only have 200, you gotta make sure no one plays that. It's just kind of a little plan. But I think it'd be interesting to see if the maneuver reaction thing translates to the rest of Jungly Fury. I could kind of see the idea of it. Again, being kind of like ninjas, and animal ninjas, so they have like animal instincts and ninjas, so it's kind of like they're acting on instinct as well as training. So it'd be interesting. So I kind of like these characters. Kind of maybe get a slight preview of what's coming up. Here we have his Zord, which is the Wolf Animal Spirit. Exhaust this card after any ranger performs a maneuver or reaction. Roll 2 dice and deal that much damage to an enemy of your choice. So basically, free 2 dice worth of damage. Not bad at all. Alright, and then I forgot to show off his miniature, which is also neat because he's one of the few rangers that does not have a weapon out. Mainly because he doesn't use weapons. It'd be a good reason. Alright, so now we have an interesting character. We have Cameron Watanabe, who is the Green Samurai Ranger. What makes him interesting is because he is not part of the Samurai Ranger team. He is part of Ninja Storm. So he became the 6th Ranger, and when he did, he actually became because they're all being trained to be various ninjas, because it's Ninja Storm with elementals. He actually became a samurai. So it's kind of an interesting take on that. So he gets like the typical Green Ranger thing with 6th Ranger, where he's kind of got the green, but he's got the gold, like a vest and stuff. That was a big thing with the original one. So he's got Super Samurai mode. At the start of each battle, if your Samurai shield is not in your hand, you must search your deck and discard pile for that card and swap with a card from your hand. If you search your deck, shuffle it. So you're putting the card back where you found it. So if you took it from your deck, you swap a card into your deck. If you took it from your discard pile, you swap it to your discard pile. But it's actually a really neat idea, because he has to have a shield. So it actually revolves around that. So let's just right off the bat see what the shield does, since you're going to have to use it. Or at least have it in your hand. Sorry. 0 cost reaction. Play this card when any ranger reveals a card for defense. Add 2 to that card. Now, that's actually pretty awesome, because you have to have it. You can play it to automatically give 2. And then it's going to sit in your discard pile. But yeah, it's kind of a neat thing. He's automatically, no matter what, he's always going to be able to give at least 2 extra shields to someone for free. So he's got 2 copies of Perfect Strike. A 0 cost attack. If Samurai Shield is in your hand, place this card on top of your deck instead of discarding it. Otherwise, you may reroll any number of dice during this attack. So kind of like RJ in the last one, the Purple Wolf. Depending on what you actually want to do with this, is going to depend. You can kind of plan it a little bit, which is kind of neat. It's sort of a very ninja thing to do, as you need to like plan ahead. Yeah, so it's like if it's in your hand, you gotta use this card. You get this card, potentially get it again if you have a draw card, or at least 2 shields. But if you'd rather be able to reroll dice, then you want to use it later. It's just depending on which ability you kind of rather have. Same thing here, we got 2 copies of Cyclone Slash. 1 cost attack for 2 dice. After resolve this attack, if Samurai Shield is in your hand, you may discard it to perform a second attack with this dice, or with 3 dice. So it gets an extra bonus if you still have that shield. So if you're holding on to it, which you start with it, if you hold on to it, you can boost some of your other attacks. Now you can see him throwing it away, which is kind of neat. Here we have 2 copies of Cross Counter. 0 cost reaction. Play this card when an enemy card deals damage to a ranger. If Samurai Shield is in your hand, reduce that damage by 2. So you get a free 2 without even having to use it. Plus you could use it to reduce it another 2. So otherwise, deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. You might not have as much option on when it comes to what to do with this, but at least it's definitely an interesting idea. Mechanic. So you have 2 copies of Clever Tactics, 0 cost maneuver. Gain 1 energy. Any ranger may choose 1 card in your discard pile, add it to their hand. Place this card on top of your deck instead of discarding it. Yeah, so this one works really well with him, because then you could start with that shield, you could play this, get that shield back in your hand, and then potentially draw another card with somebody else's ability, or whatever, and then get it so you can keep recycling that shield if you need to. And then his final ability is going to be the Samurai Saber for 3 cost, 4 dice. After resolve this attack, if Samurai Shield is in your hand, gain 1 energy. Otherwise, you may perform a second attack for 2 dice. So definitely some interesting stuff with him. One thing though is, like, unlike the Jungly Fury Wolf Ranger we just looked at, clearly none of his stuff is going to translate over to the Ninja Storm Rangers. They're going to do their own thing. His stuff is all about that shield. So then, now let's look at his Zord. The Samurai Star Chopper. Exhaust this card when any ranger suffers damage, reduce their damage by 2. Same thing like a shield. Exhaust this card when any ranger performs an attack. That ranger may reroll any number of dice during that attack. So that's kind of cool. Gives you the shield effect or an extra thing. So he's all about little options here, kind of depending on how you're playing. Definitely an interesting addition. Alright, and then our 5th and final ranger for the Allies pack is the Titanium Ranger, Ryan Mitchell. And he is from the Lightspeed Rangers. So this is another new team we haven't seen. Again, though, being the 6th Ranger, he's probably not going to necessarily play like the other ones. But when they come out, it'll be interesting to see how well he synergizes with them. If I remember right, from Jonathan Ying, who created the game, this guy is supposed to be one of the either strongest or most, I think he's supposed to be the most durable ranger out of all rangers. And we'll see that. So his first ability is called Unbreakable, which is a good indication of that. Ooh, before we do that, we didn't look at our Green Ranger. I forgot. So there's our Green Samurai Ranger. He's got the sheath, which is really cool. And his vest on and everything. Alright. And as long as we're looking at that, why don't we just look at the Titanium Ranger. So here he's got this giant axe. You can tell he's getting ready to beat someone down with that. Cool. Alright, now let's go back to his card, now that we've looked at his stuff. Once per battle, if your deck is reduced to 0 cards, you are not defeated. Instead, recover a card from your discard pile with a total of 3 shields. Yeah, so it's not going to keep you alive for very long. but it could also be a good way to just be like, hey, I'm down to like 1 or 2 cards in my deck. And the bad guy's like, hey, take 10 damage or something. You'd be like, let's just shove it off on Titanium Ranger. He can take all 10 damage, get reduced to 0, and then come back with 3 cards. So basically they wasted your attack. Yeah, so definitely he is going to be strong that way. We got, here's his Mighty Axe. We got 2 copies of Titanium Power. A 1-cost reaction. Play this card when any ranger discards a card for defense. Gain the amount of energy equal to the number of shields on that card. So at least if you're going to have to take damage, you may as well at least gain some energy for it. 2 copies of Curse Breaker. 0 cost attack with 2. If the target has passive keyword, add 2 dice to this attack. Ooh, that could be definitely helpful. 2 copies of Sturdy Blow. 0 cost attack with 1 die, 1 damage. Plus a defense ability. When this card is revealed for defense, it gains 1 extra defense. So there's his extra strength in there. 2 copies of Shockwave Slam. Attack. 1 cost, 2 dice. You may discard a top card of your deck to deal 1 damage to each enemy in the adjacent target. So again, it's going to weaken him a little bit, but definitely can maybe KO something you needed to. And then he's going to have 2 special cards. So he's going to have the Titanium Laser, which is a 3-cost attack with a special. This attack deals an amount of damage equal to the number of cards in your deck, maximum of 10. Ignore the guard keyword when choosing an attack for this target. So that can do a ton of damage. And you might be asking, how can you have a maximum of 10 cards? You have only 10 cards in your deck. You have to have at least 1. They did it in case you're playing, I think for at least 2 reasons. One slight one would be if you're playing with the if they make something like they have the Red Ranger Dragon Shield. If they ever make like a Dragon Shield type card available where you can like have extra 2 cards that they just make it so it's available for anybody. Something like that adds extra cards to their deck, like a Battleizer type mode, if they add stuff like that. Or if you're playing a dual character. Like, if you want to play 2 characters at the same time, some people do that where they combine the decks so that you have all 20 cards. And that would be why. It's just that way you're not, oh, I got, 20 cards, so I have 15 cards in my deck, I can do 15 damage. But even still, even if you have 20 cards, even if you're doing straight up 10 damage, that's ridiculous. But even by himself, you could play this and you could do 5 damage. If you drew 5 cards at the beginning of your turn, played this, that's still pretty impressive. And then finally, he has Titanium Axe, 3 special attack. This attack deals a amount of damage equal to the number of cards in your discard pile, max 10. You may divide this amongst any number of targets. Yeah, so this one's actually pretty powerful too. So the gun, let's you ignore 1. Deals straight damage to 1 character, but you can ignore guard. This one lets you split it up amongst any number of characters, so that's awesome. Plus, he's also got 3 shields, and another 3 on both of them. So I think he has the most number of 3 shields out of anybody. Alright, then let's look at his Zord. The Max Solar Zord. Exhaust this card at the start of any turn in battle. Ignore the effect of all enemy cards with the passive keyword till the end of that turn. that can be incredible. To just straight up ignore passive effects for one turn. Because some of them passives are pretty nasty. Some have stuff that just happens, like they boost someone's ability or this or that. But like they're like Bones' regeneration, like, and you could just ignore that for a turn. Awesome. And then the final card we have is the Megazord for this set, because every set has to have at least one Megazord. Again, so you can play all these guys together. So the Lightspeed Solar Zord. So this would be his Max Solar Zord combined with the Lightspeed Rescue Zord. When any ranger reveals a card with exactly one shield defense, that ranger may either deal 1 damage to an enemy or add 1 shield to that card. Again, that's actually pretty cool. Because you get some options. I love stuff where you have options. So yeah, you need to deal that 1 damage, finish off that 1 card, or get him 1 closer. Or do you really need to have that extra shield to stay alive? And it might be like, oh, I drew a 3 shield card. That's not... That 1 shield might save you that 1 point of damage. But it might not. Like, you took 2 damage, you drew a 3 shield, you don't need it. Or if you took 2, you took 2, you don't need it. But if you drew a 1, you might want to add the 1 so you don't have to draw another card. Definitely cool. Alright, we'll see how that synergizes with the rest of those Lightspeed Rangers when they eventually release them. So here we have the Allies Pack number 2. Yeah, a couple of extra characters, a couple of new teams setting up. See you guys in the next video. Bye.